everyone, welcome back to my channel. So this is going to be part 4 of my How to Write a Romance series. And I'm sorry I haven't added any more videos recently, but what's happened is that, yes, I am writing a romance novel, but the muse kind of went on vacation for a while, and so it's been really hard to write lately. And I think a lot of that is because I've been concentrating on my book launch that's coming up, which I'll talk about at the end of the video because I don't want to get in the way of what I'm talking about now. But so basically what's happened is that I've had a lot of other things going on in my life, and so I just really haven't been able to concentrate on writing like I normally am able to. So, there's that, but I still want to write this romance. I'm still writing this romance. I still love this story. And so that's really why I haven't updated a lot of videos in this romance series, just because I've just it's just taking a back burner basically. But I'm hopeful that I will get back to writing very soon. Hopefully the muse will return and I can finish the Rachel and Chase story. I currently have about 22,000 words in that story, which is still not really a whole lot, but I'm slowly making progress. So hopefully in the next couple of months I can get this thing done. So what I wanted to talk about today is something that I learned from a class I took last year. And I am definitely going to recommend you take this class if you write romance or if you want to write romance, because this class was so beneficial. And I've talked about it before on my channel, but if this is the first time you're watching my video, it's a class I took through Gale Courses. And what Gale Courses is it's a bunch of classes on just a variety of different topics, and there's some writing classes on there. And I was able to take this class through my local library. So my local library, we have a subscription for Gale Courses, and the course is just totally free. All I needed was my library card. So I just went on to my library's website, I hit the link for Gale Courses, I, typed in my library card number, which of course I have memorized, and then, I was able to have access to all of these amazing classes. So of course the writing classes were the ones that interested me the most. So I took the romance writing class that was on Gale Courses, and it was taught by this author, and her name is, I'm probably going to totally mess up her name, and I hate that because I really want to get her name right. Her name is Priscilla Oliveras, and I'll put her name in the video or something so you can know who I'm talking about. But she is a romance author. Now, I have never read any of her books before, but this class that she taught was just so amazing that I definitely do want to check out some of her romance at some point. So she's kind of one of those authors that's on my to-read list. Yes, Priscilla, she was such a nice lady, and she did a great job teaching this course. And so, yes, I do highly recommend Gale Courses and this romance writing class. So in this class, she said that there were 8 essential elements that every romance novel needed. And if you're having a problem with your romance novel, if something about it doesn't seem quite right, chances are you might be missing one of these essential elements that she says that every novel needs. Now, I promised I was going to do this video. If you watched my the last video in this series, the sticky note, how to outline your romance novel with sticky notes video, I'll put that up at the top. I did mention that I was going to do this video, a detailed video on the 8 essential elements that a romance novel needs. Now, I thought I would be able to go back online and log into my account and look at all of the notes and the chapters and reread everything since I took it already. But unfortunately, when I went onto the website, I couldn't find it. And I'm so bummed about that because I kind of wanted to go back and look at that class as a resource for myself. So the only way to get access to those notes again is if I re-enroll in the class, which maybe I'll do at some point, but I've already taken the class, so I don't want to have to like take the whole class again, because like there's tests and stuff you have to do and all the assignments and all this stuff. I mean, the assignments are just like totally easy. You're really not graded on a homework assignment. It's just beneficial for you, but there are tests that like quizzes at the end of each lesson that you take, and then like there's the big exam like at the end, and that's really the only one that counts. That's really the only one you really need to take. But I'm getting sidetracked. I cannot access my notes for this class. I did write down the 8 essential elements that you need, and also there's 3 optional elements that you can have. So I'm basically just going to go on memory from what I can remember from this class. Now in the class, she used the Jane Austen book Pride and Prejudice as an example, and she said that Pride and Prejudice is one of these books that it has all of these 8 elements in it. I've never read Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice. I don't really know if I would like it, or maybe I would watch the movie instead. Like, I don't know. Like, when it comes to classic books, I don't know. I've not had good experiences with classic books. I guess maybe Little Women. Little Women was all right. Little Women was like really long though. Did y'all think Little Women was like extremely long? I mean, I listened to the audiobook. Maybe that was why I thought it was way too long. Okay, so Little Women was pretty good. But Wuthering Heights, oh my God, I had to read that book in high school, and that was one of the worst books I've ever had to read, and I was so glad when I finished that book because I hated every single moment of it. So, my opinion of classic books is, you know. So I've never read Jane Austen, and I don't know if I would like it, but anyway, if you've read Pride and Prejudice, that's a good example of a romance novel that has all these 8 elements, and I will share them with you right now. Okay, so she said the first one is society defined. So I guess if you think about Jane Austen or Pride and Prejudice, and you think about like the time period that it was, and you know, like the time period, the setting, all that can definitely make the difference in what your romance novel is about. And that's one of the first things that you need to address. So I guess basically you need to know, like, you know, what the time period is, what society is like, because that's going to, you know, I don't know how to explain, like, you know, society, you know, like, what time is it? Like, I think that's really important if you're doing a historical romance, but I don't really read a lot of historical romance. But you know what? It's important if you're talking about contemporary romance too, because you know, you got to just know what time period is and what society is like. So there you go. So society defined was the very first one. Now she said element 2 was the meeting. And the meeting is one that has got to happen, like, you know, pretty much at the beginning of the story, you know, first chapter. And I think that's true for romance novels because, I mean, you know, there's always exceptions. There's always exceptions. But I think you want to have your main characters meet very soon, preferably in the first chapter, because they're the 2 main characters, and that's you know, the story is about them. So you want to have your characters meet at the beginning. Now, some of these other elements, Priscilla said that you can switch them up. Like, they don't necessarily have to be in this exact order. You can, you know, switch them up, you know, however you need to. But as long as you have all 8 elements, you're good to go. But she said, okay, so the first 2, society defined, in the meeting, you need to have those at the beginning. The other ones, you know, can happen whenever, except maybe the last one. I think the last one probably needs to happen last. But Anyway, so the third one is the barrier or conflict. So basically, each story, it's got to have conflict. You can't just have a story about your characters, just having a conversation and, how are you doing? Oh, fine, I'm doing great. How are you? Oh, just fine. Oh, hey, the weather's wonderful, isn't it? Oh, yes, the weather's great. Conversation like that is so boring. Like, you obviously you need a conflict. Like, you need like something keeping your characters apart. Like, that's the whole point of the romance. Like, what is keeping the hero and the heroine apart? And how are they going to overcome this obstacle that's keeping them apart so that they can get together and have their happily ever after? So yeah, you definitely need some conflict there. But also essential in a romance is the attraction. So you obviously want your characters to have chemistry. So you want there to be romance between your characters. You want there to be like sexual tension because you want your characters to, like, again, that goes back to the conflict thing. Like there has to be, that push and pull, like they're like drawn to each other, but like they can't really be together. So like what's the conflict and where's the attraction? So definitely have those. Now the fifth essential element is the declaration. And so let's see, I'm trying to remember what that was. Okay, I know what it is. The declaration is basically declaring that they love each other, that they have feelings for each other, whatever, however the scene plays out. But you want them to say, I love you, to each other, right? They have to somehow express their feelings to each other. All right, the sixth essential element of a romance novel, the point of ritual death. That's what she calls it, the point of ritual death. I have another name. This is my name for this element. I mean, it's not, well, my name. I saw this somewhere else and I like this better. I actually like to call that the black moment. The black moment is like when all hope is lost. Like, it looks like the characters are not going to be together. It looks like they're not going to have their happily ever after. Maybe they're in danger. And it doesn't actually have to be a life or death situation, but it can be. So is the character in danger? Or one of the characters in danger, and it looks like the hero's not going to save her in time, or just like what's going to happen, what is happening that it looks like these characters are not going to get their happily ever after. So you have to have that point of ritual death, the black moment, aka the black moment. Okay, so number 7 is the recognition. Now the recognition is like when they realize they can't live without each other. It's like maybe they've already expressed their feelings, but this is when the character knows for sure, like, okay, you know what? I really want to be with this person, and I do, I would do anything to be with this person, and I love this person, and that's basically the recognition, like, the light bulb moment, so like wanting to, like, maybe it could be in your story, just depending on whatever the circumstances are, it could be like they've gotten past the black moment and it's like they realize they can't live without each other, and so there you go, that's what the recognition is. Now the 8th and final essential element of a romance novel is the betrothal. You know what I'm going to call it? I'm just going to call it the happily ever after, or the happy for now. Your HEA, happily ever after, or HFN, happy for now. So, basically the characters, they're together. They're happy. And that's the end of the story. Once the characters get their happily ever after, the story is over. So there you have it. Those are the 8 essential elements that Priscilla says that every romance novel needs. And so if you're, like I say, if your romance novel, if something is going wrong with it, check to see if you have these 8 essential elements. Because if you do not have, if you're missing one of these, that may be what's not working in your story. Now, we talked about the 8 essential elements. Let's talk about the 3 optional elements. There's some more. So there were some more optional elements that she listed. So the first one she listed was like the wedding or like the dance. And so basically, I like to think of that as like the epilogue. You know how like most romance novels end, like they end in the they end with the happily ever after, and then like they have like a little extra, you know, like an epilogue, like here's, you know, here's like a sneak peek into, you know, the character's future, like oh, they're getting married, or oh, they're having a baby. Like that's so like common in romance novels. You know, just, you know, you're happy, you know, happily ever after, and this is how they're still happy, and everything is all wonderful and sunshine and roses and whatever. Okay, so then the second optional element is the scapegoat exiled. So like, I guess that's like basically like the bad guy gets caught. And so if you have a romance novel where you have an actual villain, and not every romance will have a villain, but sometimes you've got this bad guy, like maybe this, you know, maybe a stalker bad guy or something, you know, or some bad guy that was like after the hero and heroine or whatever. But that would be, you know, the bad guy gets caught. So yeah. And then the third optional element is the bad converted. So like there's sometimes you might have a bad guy, but he eventually turns like into a good guy, or like he changes, and like he's like redeemed. That's the word I'm looking for. Like he gets his like redemption, or he, you know, he basically is not a bad guy anymore. So we see that a lot in TV shows. Like sometimes like the bad guy, like he has some redeeming qualities, so he's not like completely bad. So that's pretty much all I have. Like I say, I wish I had access to my notes. I mean, these are my notes. These are all the notes that I have, but I wish I actually had access to the chapters again, because there was so much more detail in all of these. And so maybe if I take that romance class again, I'll let you know. But I've already taken it once, so I kind of got all of the information that I needed out of that class. So I'm just sharing what I learned. But yes, do highly recommend take Gale courses, take classes, take these writing classes if you have access to them. They're a lot of fun. Alright, well that's going to do it for me. I'm going to end this video now, but before I go, I just want to remind all of y'all who are watching out there that if you want to pre-order One Big Mess, which is my first novel that's coming out, it's a young adult novel. It's coming out June 13th, 2021. It's available for pre-order now on Amazon, Kobo, Barnes & Noble, Apple, a couple other places. And I'm hoping I can get the paperback done at the same time. We'll see, but I am working on a paperback. But yeah, so it comes out June 13th, so I'm really excited about it. And I hope you'll buy it. I hope you'll like it. Or if you don't want to buy it, just wait, because the ebook may be available through your local library at Hoopla or Overdrive. So, yay, I'm so excited. Alright, I will see y'all later. And have a great week, everyone. Bye.